So there we have it. We're into the Rugby Championship with a big win for South Africa away to Australia. 7-33, big statement from South Africa. In the previews, I did say I thought they'd have far too much for Australia, but I think Australia showed a lot less in attack than I thought they would. Their team play was very poor. South Africa maybe weren't at their absolute best in the first half, but still absolutely pulled away with so much attack. One thing I did ask for South Africa from those July tests was a bit more variation, a bit more unpredictability. And I think we got that certainly from their launch plays. I mean, the first scrum, which the scrum was such a weapon, of course, destroyed Australia all game. We saw Colby standing the first receiver, or feeding the scrum and running from the scrum, I should say. Very effective. They used Colby a lot, and they got this guy, Renza, into the game a lot. Two amazing wingers. In the preview show, I did say I want to get these wingers involved in the game, and that's exactly what South Africa did. They nearly scored from that scrum, but then it's a bad knock-on actually from Etzebeth and Ryanak, a bit of a mess up there. Tom Wright, interesting from Tom Wright, because the reason he wasn't in the Australian squad before is because he makes some bad decisions. He's incredibly quick, but we saw some of those poor decisions from Tom Wright. He's rash on 5 minutes to take a quick line out when Sasha Feinberg-Magomezulu is already on Lolosio. Lolosio as well didn't have the best game, maybe got a bit better as it went on, but he snags Lolosio, and that leads to a penalty, and it's a really, really nervous, poor strike from Feinberg-Magomezulu. He got a lot better from then on, but definitely some signs of nerves from him, but he is a talent, and this was a good game for him to play. 70-odd minutes he played. I'd play him again next game. There's plenty of quality there, but he wouldn't say it was my best game, I would say. After 10 minutes, though, we can see that Australia are leaking penalties 4 in a row after 10 minutes, and South Africa are just bound to score at some point because they've got so many good opportunities. Maybe not clicking in open play at the moment, but that maul is good. Some more invention as they go to the back of the line out, then to the front of the line out. So it's a shifted line out as teams do, but they actually lift Etzebeth at the front just to ensure there's a really clean catch there and it's not interfered with, and it works an absolute treat. Splinters Australia, and Feinberg-Magomezulu gets a nice conversion to get himself into the game. So 0-7 after 10 minutes, and it was deserved. It was all South Africa. Now Australia have a clear plan to play very physical. They're attacking the breakdown and doing fairly well, tackling well, attacking quite short, trying to fight fire with fire, but it's just not enough. South Africa are too good. They're going to have to come up with much more invention and good handling to break down South Africa, I think. Then Magomezulu shows a few more nerves, arriving very late to a high ball contest and only achieves in smashing into his own player Ryanak. Poor Ryanak, although if he had gone into Dangunu, it probably would have been a yellow actually. Dangunu, I thought, had a really good start to the game, but a real blow as he hobbles off after 25. Absolutely. He made an amazing tackle on Peter Steph Toy out wide, just driving him into touch. So that was a big blow. Probably the most dangerous player for Australia, going off a bit too early. Australia also kicking quite poorly. Gordon, who kicking is his strong point, I guess. He's not a quick, nippy scrum half like McDermott, who came on later, but he had a poor game, to be honest. They kicked the ball away. South Africa had some easy marks to take. On 17 minutes, we see the first phase attack from Australia, but it's pushed back from excellent line speed from South Africa. Really big shots from Creel, from Khaleesi. Really impressive with their tackling, as you'd probably expect. But yeah, they really pushed Australia back in this first half, put them under pressure, and they made a lot of mistakes. The first half was a bit of a tale of both fullbacks making poor decisions. Tom Wright again inexplicably ignores a transition overlap to Kellaway, who must have been absolutely screaming for the ball. No idea why he didn't give it. And then Sasha Feinberg-Magomezulu makes a break upfield from that play, and LaRue has a clear 2-on-1 to surely give a try out wide, but he inexplicably steps in and butchers that chance. So both fullbacks mucking it up there. Not smart play from either 15s. It's high intensity, but you've got to say the first 20 is pretty low on quality. More poor quality on 22 minutes, 2 bungled launch plays from South Africa off lineouts. Maybe they were struggling a little bit with operating with one specialist second row, I don't know, but Australia did put some pressure on the lineout, although the scrum was safe as houses, of course. South Africa probably feel they should be further ahead because they've had so much of the ball, but finally it clicks for them as they go from coast to coast, moving the ball very nicely, and they pass the ball fantastically well, I thought, in this game. Did South Africa, getting loads of width on their game, something that Australia struggled to do, to be honest. Feinberg Magomazulu does really well to fire a flat pass to Peter Steph du Toit, who juggles it, but it's a good line, too much power, takes him over Kellaway for a second try, 0-14, so they deserve 2 tries, I think, from that amount of attack they've had. On 26 minutes, only the second attacking chance for Australia, which is immediately fumbled, and that was definitely a theme of the whole game for Australia. They just couldn't get those launch plays going, couldn't get into good phase attack. They're going to have to think again how they're going to try and break down South Africa, but certainly catching the ball is a good start, and Tom Wright nearly makes the hat-trick of bad decisions as he lets the ball run dead and LaRue nearly grounds it for a try. That, surely would have been him dropped for the next test for Tom Wright. Maybe he hangs on, I don't know, just by inches there. Then we get an exciting 5 minutes of play that leads to South Africa's third try. Australia are trying to rush up in defence, but Feinberg Magomazulu spots it and a really lovely floated pass over the top to Arenza, who was absolutely electric. Extreme pace, breaks 40 metres wide left. Kellaway is in big trouble as he lifts up Reinach, and it's clumsy. He doesn't kind of drive him down, but he lands on his head. So that's a yellow, not a red, but it is a yellow. So he goes off, and South Africa tried the same trick play from the line out, throwing to the back, transfer to the front as Etzebeth is lifted, but they scramble fairly well. Gordon and Frost tackle and dislodge the ball, but they just can't execute anything. That is Australia, as their exit is penalised. They get 2 5-metre scrums. Penalties are mounting. I think it's 8 in the first half. It's a bit messy, but Arenza picks up the ball and he is absolutely lightning. I slowed down the footage there and it was 7 Wallabies that he beat, I counted, and it is a fantastic individual try. 0-21, just so much pressure, and maybe the game has actually gone at that point and we're not even at the end of the first half. South Africa weren't perfect in their execution, but the quality of player is so good, and because Australia couldn't execute anything, then that just tells. And indeed, Australia finish on a really clunky phase attack that is knocked on once again. So it is 0 points for Australia at half-time, and that seems a little generous. Into the second half, when we see Colby used in another way in attack off set piece. Great to see those wingers getting involved. But the new cap, Tazano, the open side for Australia, finally gets his first jackal of the game. That's what he was there for, although he didn't have much of an impact. But of course, the launch play was bungled for Australia. But they get a second chance from a 5-metre line out, and that is overthrown. They look almost desperate not to score. One thing for Australia that was fairly decent for most of the game was the ruck pressure. They do force Reinach to panic a couple of times, so you can't fault the Australian physical commitment, but the quality isn't there. On 50 minutes, we actually get the first decent attack for the Wallabies. It's a planned phase play, Lolosio changing direction, and they catch South Africa wide left, so that was pretty nice. They get to a 5-metre maul chance, really must score at this point to have any chance in the game, but Etzebeth does so well to swim through that maul, disrupt it, and then Pish knocks on anyway. So that was just, again, poor execution from Australia, but good physical pressure from South Africa. Of course, the bomb squad is on, and of course, the scrum continues to be absolutely destroyed for Australia there. Really good stuff. Australia get joy again, catching South Africa out on the left, so a little bit better, build a little bit of pressure, but Steenkamp lightning on a jackal turnover. That was impressive. Of course, they used Colby on the set-piece attack in a different way again, and in a flash, South Africa have a dangerous 5-metre scrum, and then it's simple round the corner carries from the big forwards. Grant Williams just nicely sucks in the last defender, Harry Wilson, and Quagga Smith powers over for the try. 0-28, and surely that's the final nail in the coffin. Well, the next try absolutely is, and it's brilliant from the Springboks as they smell blood, and as Australia just start to slump a little bit as they know the game is lost. Straight from the kickoff, they whiz the ball wide, but they do straighten nicely as well. Magomazulu just sucks in a player. LaRue straightens up as well to give Creel just a sniff of a chance, and he does incredibly well to step a few players and then spot the supporting Arenza out wide left for a flying finish. Really, really good try. Best one of the match. 0-33. It's looking like it's going to be really, really messy for Australia. But then South Africa give away a load of yellows and Australia get a try. Marks gives away a yellow for a shoulder to the head, although he's dipping a little bit. It stays as a yellow. McDermott is on for Australia, and that definitely lifts the pace. Plus, obviously, the extra players helps, and they really go on the attack, and they get a try in the end, just running out of players to South Africa. Paisami finishing out wide as Wright makes a 2-on-1. We see the surname Liner on the scoreboard as Tom Liner is on to make the conversion. So 7-33. So at least Australia finish with something. They finish on the attack because there's a load more yellows as well. But some good tackling from Colby, from Smith, sees out the game. An easy win in the end. 7-33. South Africa, they go into the second game full of confidence. Australia will need to change quite a lot in the way they attack against South Africa. They're going to have to be loads better to have a chance. But also I think South Africa could be better in their execution, particularly in that first half. So it might balance out and we may well see a second win for South Africa. But we'll see. Can Australia come back with something epic to disrupt this juggernaut that is the Springboks? Pop all those comments below. I'd love to know what you thought of that game, and I'll catch you next time.